Okay, few announcements. The first one everybody may know, we already start live streaming, and the second thing is I created a Twitter account, so we can start tweeting, flowing all around. Just follow us or all the announcements. If you have any idea, just tweet me. So I will actively watch and reply that Twitter as well. Cool. Let's start from Ignite. Well, Ignite has been a huge event for Microsoft. So the bad thing is they stopped doing the Ignite on local cities. They have been centralized it, but we do have Ignite. So Microsoft does have a small mini Ignite all around globe, but only hosted in Sydney. Unfortunately, we won't have that. But that is the reason I said, yeah, maybe after the Ignite, we have a Meetup groups to talk about what has been announced in the Ignite from Microsoft. I created that heat map because there is about 173 new features has been announced in the in the Ignite in a single day. What we can see from this heat map is huge amount. The majority of things has been features that's focused on the Azure infrastructure. Pretty much is the infrastructure as a service, IaaS, all these sort of things. Two big things we noticed from the Azure infrastructure is huge amount of Kubernetes monitoring, Azure monitoring integration. That's Microsoft definitely the direction, a very reasonable direction Microsoft will want to move on. The other thing is everybody will know the Azure Arc, which is the Microsoft's understanding of the future computer platform. So that is saying. The second thing is core. I should name it properly. It's Microsoft 365 core. That's Office 365 productivity layer. That including the completely new experience of Microsoft Teams, a completely new Microsoft Teams experience. Microsoft 365 experiences with the Floyd framework. Have anyone heard about the Floyd? Because before that is the Metro framework. Now Microsoft move on to another framework. Basically, it's a design user experience framework. That's the major thing. And Azure Apps. Azure Apps is basically the PaaS platform. There are basically two big things to announce. There's the Azure monitoring for Kubernetes, which is basically the Prometheus landing on the Azure monitoring. So we've got a much easier telemetry to monitoring AKS, diagnostic, and the tracing logs. I want to cover that in maybe we'll expand some some big sessions next year to cover everything in detail. I'll do a deep dive things because AKS is definitely the thing I'm focusing on at this point. That's mainly around the Azure Apps. Azure Data and the AI. So Microsoft launched the new data warehouse generation 2. And by leveraging more of the big data and all these queries, they're trying to compete with BigQuery. So I can do another session because I'm reading the new book just released by Google, the BigQuery definitive guide. That's officially the inventor of BigQuery from Google. He wrote the book, just released a month ago. So I'm reading that book during the Christmas, and hopefully we can have I can share some information around that if you are working on the data side. Security, identity, compliance, mainly is integration with Azure monitoring and the security center. Now you have Microsoft security scoring be integrated into the security center. Mainly is the integration, and Kubernetes security monitoring, all these sort of things is the enhancement of security identity compliance. Regarding the management, I'll cover in detail. There are a few very good CI/CD or DevOps features be announced for ARM template deployment. I don't know whether you guys are onto that because that's basically the favorite topic of May, because that's our day-to-day life live with. How do we CI/CD that? And the biggest thing, although it's still small, very small, it's about the Power App automation, which is the replacement of the Flow in the past. form of flow. So that is the Microsoft's understanding of the next generation of enterprise integration layer, the SOA layer. So Power App, and Microsoft also released self-services license model for Power Apps. I guess it will create a lot of mess. And you will get some customer will get bill shock somehow. No, that is a very, very interesting thing. Has anyone used the Power App or Flow in the integration layer for Dynamics 365 or no? Just to create a workflow in SharePoint?
Yeah, and between Microsoft Layer and RX,
okay. That's fun. Because that thing could have a lot of potentials to expand. And the next big thing is for tomorrow's compute, it's a quantum framework. Mark S basically just covered that whole things in his keynote, which is really, really, really good. But I'm not diving into that very deep because nobody knows how it's going to happen next 20 or maybe 30 years. But does have a lot of things IoT side be announced, like a new age SQL Server can be deployed on edge devices, which means you can do a lot of smart or heavy edge devices without connecting actually back to the internet. So you can do a lot of off-site or maybe on the edge compute more and more. So you can deploy the Kubernetes containers managed by AKS to your edge devices. And Microsoft also introduced a certified rugged edge devices with Dell HP. They're the small factor, mini factor size of the edge devices, really, really small. And it's smaller ever than a laptop, but you can run Azure Stack on it. Imagine how powerful it is. And it's rugged. It's really amazing. It's called backpack form of edge devices. Usually, Microsoft has been marketing it to power the HoloLens, which means with a VR or AR edge devices, you can interactive with your device on your backpack with huge machine learning or AI capability and interactive using your HoloLens version 2. Really, really powerful. So that's the overall picture of the feature being announced. But in this session, I won't limit it to the features, but also introduce some new architectural thoughts, because every time Microsoft will introduce best practices as well. So all these things will not be included in the feature, but it's more useful to all of us. So I will continuously expand this topic in the next year. Maybe the first 2 sessions, I will keep carry on talking about all these best practices. Mainly around the performance and the monitoring and infrastructure tuning adoption practices. And that's basically the highlight. Azure Arcs, Synapse Analytics, which is the DWGen2, quantum computer programming model, container a lot, edge a lot, Power Automation, which is the new platform of integration, Microsoft Teams, new experiences for the developers. You now have the Visual Studio Code experience online. It's now in preview, so you can have your language extensions, your lighting, everything, but it's online, so which means you can edit your repos on your Azure DevOps using the same experience of your Visual Studio Code on your laptop. And Floyd, definitely the new framework for Office development. Basically, the entire Microsoft user experience framework now will be based on that. Any interesting thing you guys want to share? Or you heard about any?
The edge.
Yeah.
The new products are the edge coverages, Azure Stack.
Yeah.
And then Azure Stack. What's the small one? Databox Edge?
Databox Edge.
Yeah. I'm curious about that one because they talk about that, running any workloads as well, but I'm not quite sure what that means to me as a full Azure stack.
Okay. Basically, I don't think that VMware is a full Azure stack. I don't believe that because I haven't tried that anyway. But I don't believe that Microsoft saying you can run the same powerful as Azure stack because Azure stack is really Microsoft's internal. The VMware is
Oh, sorry, I mean just running
infrastructure service. Yeah.
Because you've got Azure Stack HCI, which is publicly storage spaces, then you've got Databox Edge or Azure Stack Edge, and then Hub. It's quite confusing. I mean, it seems to have a lot of overlap, and I'm curious to see what happens with all that. Even around all the system center space, and you've got the mouse configuration managers are changing.
Yep.
To update management or
update management and the inventory, and you have the admin center 9009 GA, everything. Yeah.
So I kind of wonder, what's happening? Is Arc going to end up replacing things like VM?
Unlikely. I don't know what Microsoft is trying to do. That also makes me a little bit confused because, especially around the data box edge, that I don't think it's any point because this basically to give you a large storage edge devices. That's it. You don't have the computer, you don't have the DPS, you don't have the basically the management layer on top of it.
Yeah, I'm saying.
It's just a data collector, kind of. I don't know because Microsoft is still refining their understanding of. Let's jump onto that. So that's basic Microsoft's understanding of or their interpretation of what's the next stage of compute. Single platform, that's basically Bill Gates' dream. So regardless where is your compute, regardless where is your platform, you just need a compute storage devices or that resources. Running on any data center, any cloud, your Azure VM, your Kubernetes, your databases. Azure Arc has 3 different flavors. You got VMs, Kubernetes, and the databases. And your Azure Stack basically is integration. Basically, Microsoft seeing Azure Stack is a replacement of Windows Server on premises. And then Microsoft has all the edge devices. These 3 things all together, because I believe Microsoft will at some stage basically phase out the Azure Data Box Edge, because there's really no point, it's duplicated. But at this point, they have to provide some compatibility. So that's the end game. Azure Stack for on-premises, Azure Arc for all the cloud services, and the IoT for the edge devices. That's it. Azure Sphere is basically the IoT operating system. So here it is, but AWS completely goes to the other directions by chopping this off, by chopping both sides off, right? Everything is cloud. You need cloud only. That's AWS, like their understanding of compute. You don't only need 5 servers. They treat data center as a compute. You only need 5 computers globally. That's the original IBM stream, right?
I guess Microsoft is smart, right? Because they're now going, oh, hey, we can make more revenue by making subscriptions and running infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's what they're pushing.
Yeah. But the other side is because Microsoft their root is from enterprises. They run Windows Server, they run Offices. They know the big organizations, the enterprises or small business need such thing. But AWS root is Amazon, which is purely web services. The AWS was built for support Amazon.com. So they only live in a virtual or Silicon Valley dream. So never really down to an enterprise day-to-day operations. They don't understand what actual enterprise will require, and what they don't understand their legacies, on-premises hybrid environment. So Microsoft always say hybrid, and you have a unified management layers. In the down bottom is management, security, identity, application, data services, DevOps tools. All these common services will be the layer on top of regardless of whatever your compute and your storage are. So that's Microsoft Dream. That, to me, that sort of makes sense, right? You can't avoid any on-premises device these days. For one of my customers, they got a high-speed machine, which on operating plant, they do require very, very low latency real-time monitoring, but you can't put these servers into the cloud or create a disaster. So Microsoft is right, sort of thing, but AWS going to too extreme. They're going to no other stuff, even no other clouds, just AWS is the only thing you will need. That's too extreme. So let's see what they will announce in the reInvent. And also for the Pentagon case, I thought it makes sense for going to the Azure. You don't need AWS. No one can operate that. Let's see.
You see how Jeff goes with his
yeah. Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's really funny thing. Yeah, let's think about the Azure Arc. What actually, that is basically the biggest announcement for Microsoft. I think that idea will lead next maybe 3 years Microsoft strategy. So go hybrid, go compute anywhere, basically give all the developers a consistent interfaces to develop the code. You don't need to worry about what language I use to do the code, to do the infrastructure as code. Terraform, then the Meta, Python, Ruby, Puppet, Chef, too many. ARM template, that's everything you will need. Now Microsoft saying run Azure data services anywhere, then you will have everything. And it also extend your Azure management across the environment, which is your good Azure policy. You already know JSON. You already have a whole lot of policies being created. Azure Blueprint. You have your ARM template repo. This is all your assets. Utilize them. Don't reinvent the wheel. So that is why I love Jeffrey Snover so much. He's the inventor of PowerShell. He's so smart. He knows. He basically extends the PowerShell core cross-platform strategy for Microsoft. He's so good. So I watched all his sessions of Ignites, of PowerShell announcements, how they make PowerShell as a single tools across different platforms for developers or the engineers. Just make it work. And adopt cloud. You have all your ARM templated, can provision a resources in Azure, but you want that to be done the same way on your on-premises environment. Azure Arc, and implement Azure security anyways, which means you can use a single source of identity, MFAs, and all your conditional accesses, all your security auditing trails being placed into essential places in your single SIEM and single log monitoring environment. That's the Azure. Oh, that's regardless of where it is. Azure Arc will pull off all of these data into a single places and present a single control panel for you. How it goes, Azure Arc actually give you 3 different flavors, which 3 is Azure Arc for servers, regardless where the server is, AWS on-premises, Azure Arc deploy the Azure Arc agents. You can start to monitoring, code define that particular server. And Azure Arc for Kubernetes, the same thing, regardless it's in the Kubernetes repository or the Google or AWS, regardless. You can manage that, use a single Azure portal by managing the same way you're managing the AKS containers. And Azure Data Services, that's really good. So which means you can run your SQL server, Postgres SQL, anywhere, on any platform, without redeploying or doing a lot of reconfiguration of that data services. Because of that, I believe in the future they can also do data warehouses and Azure analysis services anywhere, because that's easy. It's basically just a SQL engine, right? Just containerize everything. And now the Azure Arc for server, you can start play with that. It's in preview. The Kubernetes and the data services, I believe, still internal preview or a private preview. Some invited vendors can start trying that. I'm trying to get into that queue. But yeah, the Arc services is quite easy to run. So what basically under the hood? On the left, as an Azure administrator or whatever cloud operator, you have familiar with your Azure portal, Cloud Shell, B Shell, commandlet, your marketplaces, PowerShell, everything. You don't need to change your behavior. On your right hand, you already have your Azure Resource Management as your management fabric. You got RBAC, you got the resource log, you got the search, you got templates, you got the Azure policies, governance, blueprints. You don't need to change that as well. You have your SIEM, you have your Azure Log Analytics, you have your Security Center, update monitoring, container monitoring as well, because now it's being integrated into Azure Monitor natively. Okay, the only thing will be changed is what resource you manage, right? For the Azure, it's natively integrated with Azure Resource Manager, no problem. And what Arc will do is adding a extra abstraction layer between your resources, either in the cloud or either in your on-premises environment, then become the interfaces to basically push or pull all the informations from other locations. That's just that simple. Especially for the VMs, for the servers, it's as simple as a SCCM agent. I believe that's just a mode of SCCM agent, or the Azure MMA agent. Basically, is you install that particular agent called the Azure Connected Machine Agent and all your Azure VM extensions. Then it automatically reports to the Azure Arc for services. You're just provisioning that service resources in the Azure Arc. Then you will see all these servers being presented automatically. You can use the PowerShell, DSC, whatever configuration thing to deploy that. And make sure you have a gateway can reach to the internet, or the server itself can reach to the internet and reporting to the Azure Arc services. Then boom, all done. Why I don't believe, even sometimes I have trouble of putting a agent into the AWS VM and reporting it back to Azure. I believe Amazon did something behind things to prevent it from happening. So I don't know. And we can see Salesforce, have you guys read the news of Salesforce is moving their marketing cloud to Azure from AWS. It's a very interesting, it's a big move for both parties, AWS, Salesforce, and Azure. Azure's really doing good, really good. So by using that particular specific agent, now you can push policies, backup, monitoring using the Azure portal. You don't need to change to AWS portal between hopping to different places. Your VMware management portal, because for that I was lost to find where is my server. And for AWS, the same thing, because all these portals are different places. And CloudFormation, it's gone, right? You don't write CloudFormation script to deploy your AWS servers or use your ARM template. You can use your Azure DevOps, your CI/CD pipeline still there, just push to another resources. You can have the resource. The good thing is all these servers actually be treated as an Azure resource. You can have the resource IDs with a server. You can reference that resource ID, apply your policies, put these resources into a resource group, apply taggings, everything. And consolidate the bill for AWS, because Azure cost management can hook up to the AWS and get the billing information from AWS as well, which means you can consolidate all these things together into a single place, which is really good. I think the next move for Microsoft could be acquire ServiceNow. Yeah, because the ServiceNow, the cloud operating model sucks. It's terrible, really terrible. I implement that once or twice for the customer and integrate with Azure DevOps and do a lot of mid-server discovery of the cloud environment. That's too difficult, way too difficult, right? Why you don't have a native integration? So the key takeaway for the Azure Arc is you got all your inventory information using the Azure Automation account, your software changes, your registry key changes, your key file changes will be inventory. That basically can also be treated as a dynamic CMDB. A static CMDB is gone, right? For infrastructure as code, you have thousands of deployments every day. You can't have a static CMDB. So all your CMDB is being treated as Azure inventory. It's a dynamic CMDB. So that is another thing is native integration of Azure Graph, Microsoft Graph. So all these CMDB configuration items will be generated dynamically. And the governance security, for sure, you get policies, you get all your security identity everywhere, role-based access control. A single place is to manage at scale. I think at some stage, Microsoft will make the System Center exactly the same UI as the Azure portal, and eventually merge these two things together into a single portal. Because there's no point for a Windows Admin Center anyway, because you have the Arc. There's no point for having an on-prem system. Except it's disconnected. No, now you need the Azure Stack. Now you need the Azure Stack. You're always online. You're always online, right? You're always on.
Versus expectation.
Yeah. Oh, has anyone been affected by the Azure outage last week? Oh, this week? Yes. Terribly wrong, No, it's not regional, it's global, I think. Azure Front Door, DevOps, Azure DevOps completely red, everything's red. Or the Azure ADs, Office 365, SharePoint. Oh, you're not? Then it lasts about 4 hours?
We're on the All-House basic training. There was a guy, an All-House exam. Exam, he couldn't access the
Oh no! That's classic. And the other thing I'll also want to is your Lighthouse, which is so awesome because that's not only for MSPs, but for real big enterprise, global Fortune 500 enterprises. They maybe have multiple business units in a real scenario. These business units operate independently. They have multiple tenants, but they have a centralized shared office, shared services back office, for example, the ITs. How the ITs managing all these different tenants in the same organization, Lighthouse. So Microsoft will gradually integrate the Lighthouse with all their Azure services. Then the centralized IT can use Lighthouse to push all the policies, blueprints to the downstream tenant they managed. Now the Sentinel has been integrated to the Lighthouse. Azure Monitor has been integrated, which is I think, in my view, it's two major things for the governance has been integrated. And soon they will integrate the cost management to the Lighthouse as well. So you can centralize all your governance and the management purpose into a single place and a single tenant and secure that tenant as well. So which means all your normal user or whatever resource users won't have the access to these policies. The definition. Oh, the CSP will come soon. The CSP is the cost management has been landed to cost management. It's available now.
You just need your customers to sign the new NCA. Yeah. So you should have access to
just last week.
But for your customers, they just need to sign the new agreement.
And you should see from the CSP management portal. You will see a new button called Convert to the new agreement. Just select the subscription, click that button, Good luck.
Yeah, because pretty much you won't be able to add subscriptions under the old agreement as of January 2020.
Yeah, because they're changing because of the Dutch law or something, yeah? Is that why they're changing
Yeah, it's the reasoning behind it is because they're trying to make a seamless way for customers to transact with Microsoft. So at the moment, if you're an EA customer, you sign about 5 different levels of paperwork, and then you might have a CSP agreement, and then you might have this agreement, and then you might be using a credit card, and they're all different agreements. So eventually, even the EA customers will be under the MCA. So the MCA will allow you to transact with Microsoft whether you're wanting to transact CSP or pay as you go, or yeah. So that's the theory behind it.
Yep. That's quite about the Azure Arc, and now Microsoft is about to release in the Q1 is about all the detailed implementation of Azure Arc Kubernetes and Azure Arc Data Services. Stay tuned, so we'll cover that in later because these two things are quite exciting to me as well. And you can see the Windows Admin Center will be the local tools eventually. So all of these will be, I was saying, might be bundled into one single thing. Is called Azure Portal App. Do you guys know that Azure Portal App? Here is a purely desktop version of Azure Portal. So it's not running on any Chrome kernel. So it has its own DLL, which means if in an environment you don't allow the Chrome or Edge kernel to run, you can run this on your PAL, privileged access workstations. So this, I believe, will eventually replace all of these things. Because now you can have SQL Data Studio integrated into the portal. Cloud Shell will already be integrated. Eventually, I don't see any value of Windows Admin Center to live for long. There's no point to keep two different streams of admin tools, right? Portal is your only experience.
It'd be nice to have admin center almost embedded.
Yeah, almost embedded.
So, you know, like a, I don't know, like Linux cockpit, for example, you know, you've got a base Linux machine that's running there, you can manage it standalone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but if you want to manage a Linux, why not use the Arc? So, Arc is your place to manage all of these things, right? Arc can provide a Linux agent as well. So, eventually, if you want to run everything, Microsoft maybe rename it to Microsoft Admin whatever center. That's your on-premises management tools eventually. So server management tool, that's too old, running on the DLL MMC .NET framework, it should be gone. Yeah. So try play with this. I found it's quite. I think it's actually running faster because it's on-prem, so it's on your laptop. It's running faster. The UI refresh time is way faster than the portal. I keep using that from now. Really. Yeah.
It's like single signing on.
No, you need the pass-through authentication. So ADFS is gone. So very, very good. This one. And the Synapse, I will cover that in a specific topic next year, maybe January or February. I want to do one thing in January is Microsoft's new strategy about partner with Terraform. So I'll do that session on January maybe, then do the Snaps for February because currently I cannot have any demo environments for that now. Hopefully by January I will have a demo environment to do all these big queries. And I can show you the comparison between the Google BigQuery and the Snaps as well. And I'm just a little bit disappointed to see it still limits your maximum data storage as 240 terabytes. So shame, because before the DW version 1, I have an issue because we have a 300 terabyte data warehouses. I have to either partition it or either shard it into 2 different data warehouses. I didn't see. I would expect if you want running a big data, so you should have a capability that support that big data. Now they said no, don't do it into the DW storage. Put it into the data lake. How come I put it the rational data warehouse model into the data lake? Give me some more spaces, right? 300 terabyte, 240. But that's really a way Microsoft is trying to push is put everything, your data storage is your data lake. So which means we have to do a lot of transformation of the existing rational databases, make it compatible with the data lake and put into the data lake. Have you guys see the new data platform reference model? So everything hub, so on the top is hub, so hub to the data lake to the Synapse. So the Synapse is the consumer layer, data lake plus the data bricks is the processing, basically the ETL layer, and the event hub is the real-time streaming data ingestion. So this is the new Microsoft data platform reference framework. I haven't seen, one thing is the Snowflake, where did it? I'm trying to find out how the Snowflake completely fit into that reference architecture, because Snowflake is really hot topic these days. So stay tuned, I will cover that as well. So just curious, anyone is working in a data platform in the Meetup? Or no data? Okay. Interested in data? Trying to break your database? Okay. How about modern workplaces? So Office 365, all these things. Quite interesting. Okay. Power App. Cool. I'll take that into the consideration. Now is my personal favorite part: new ARM template features. The biggest thing for the ARM template is you cannot use the TDD to test the ARM template before deploy it. You can't run what if in the PowerShell to deploy your ARM template. You either deployed it, let it fail, or you either just read it, not let it fail, right? Now, the beauty is you can do what if, use your test case to test your ARM template before deployed it, and the test result can be fed into your CI/CD pipeline. So which is really good, awesome thing. So basically what the new feature do is Microsoft will compare the existing resources. If it's not exist, Microsoft will just tell you whether this ARM template is going to be deployed successfully or not. If you have an existing resource need update, Microsoft will compare each individual parameters or the properties of that resource, tell you what's the difference of that resource deployment. So how to do it? Because no one can actually try that. You need to apply that. I only got a dry, so it's called a dry demo. What do you do is Microsoft introduced a new PowerShell commandlet called new Azure deployment what if. So I think why not use the old commandlet and put the switch dash what if. They'll make my CI/CD pipeline remediation way much easier, right? So just dumbass create a new commandlet, which means I need to replace the entire pipeline, not just by adding a switch as a parameter. I don't know where's the idea comes from. Because maybe they're thinking you have the YAML, just the copy paste, they find and replace easier. Not everyone uses YAML now. Damn. So once you have that, it won't actually deploy that. It will deploy to a sandbox Azure Resource Manager. And that Azure Resource Manager will take all the ARM template and the new ARM template, compare these two together. Then you will get the result as such. For example, we got provisioning a new network VNet. So the parameter DDoS protected will be changed to false. That's delete. And if you create anything, you will see that create. If you update, you will see just like a GitHub diff, right? You will see the differences. Another thing I have to mention: have anyone tried the version comparison, which is already available, or change control in the new Azure portal? No? Oh, that's another beauty. I'll show you. If you deployed anything, now you go to the Azure activity log. If you have seen any update or these things, if you have any create or actions, you'll have a change history. That's exactly the what if functionality. The change history of a resource, you can see what has been changed, what particular Azure parameter or Azure ARM template has been changed. That is a very, very useful feature. Why the network is slow? Come on, Wi-Fi. See, that's basically the differences. They will show you what has been changed on the resource level. And it's trackable for 180 days. So you can feed these into your storage, log analytics to keep it longer. But this is the feature I've been waiting for long, especially for the sysadmins. You have a trackability of your resource update. Think about it, you have thousands of updates on your resource every day. You won't get lost track, you will get lost, right? So all of these you want. Give a try. And now I believe that's the new things called something. In the automation account, you got a change manager feature or Azure Monitor. I'll find it for you. Change tracker. Yeah, that's basically the Windows. So I think that's the Azure Monitor. So anyway, I forgot somewhere. I definitely find Microsoft make that change. The change tracker a standalone services in the Azure. You can use that management portal to track all your change things. I'll find it for you because I noticed that the other day because Microsoft never released any announcement for that specific things, even in the preview stage. I tried to find that in the Azure blog, but no one says that. But I accidentally, when I play around with that portal, I found, ooh, you got a change history. That looks cool, right? That's really, really something we after for a while. And now the ARM template has been recognized as a language, not JSON, because ARM template is based on JSON, but ARM template now be recognized as an individual language. So you can have all your language extensions, your light, your snippet as well. Have anyone tried the snippet autocomplete in the VS Code? No? Okay. Oh, but by the way, the schema has been updated to 2019. You're no more using the 2018 schema. So let's say if you want to use language, you change language. Now you can use ARM as a new language. So on your right corner is Azure ARM template. So once you type ARM, it will give you all the reference ARM template. So autocomplete. So writing a ARM template from scratch is no more a problem. For example, VNet. Here you go. Easy. It was originally developed by a open source Microsoft. Just take that. I've been using that for a while, which is really good. And the what if has been integrated into the VS Code. If you run what if from the VS, so you'll get a separate window just show you the diff, exactly as the change history in the portal I just showed you. So all of these, which is good. The other big change is in the ARM template, it's a JSON. It doesn't support comments. Because Microsoft make it as a language from now on, it supports comments. Finally. If you want to comment out one specific resource, saying I have 2 different flavor VM, I want to comment out one VM, just provision another one before you count, right? You have to delete everything. Now you can comment that out. Finally. Okay. So the next one. Good. Have you ever written any CI/CD pipeline with huge PowerShell script just seeding your databases after you provision a database in use the ARM template? So basically, in a pipeline, you will see, especially for the infrastructure as a code pipeline, you will see a whole bunch of PowerShell actions mixed with some ARM templates here and there. Sometimes you will soon lose track, and because the PowerShell is not idempotent, so which means you deploy the PowerShell, run PowerShell twice, will get different results sometimes. Now you can use the ARM template to call a PowerShell, which means you embedded all your database seeding code or configuration code into your ARM template, and use the ARM template deployment manager to manage all these PowerShell deployments. If it failed, Microsoft will keep it autumn to roll back everything, which is good, which is really good. So how Microsoft do that? Very dodgy. very dodgy. I told you how it works. It will create a storage account and provisioning AKS container instance to run that PowerShell behind the scene. So basically, it will deploy a container on the fly and delete that. Basically, it's just to simulate you have a VM to do all these PowerShell configurations. So that is why it needs resource provided by allow Microsoft to provision a container into your environment by signing this script and have an assigned identity. Basically, is for the successful deployment. But which is good, and also it can provide debugging code of your PowerShell and make it as an output of your ARM template and feed it to your next step, which is awesome, really. And what's the Microsoft use case is, for example, you need to deploy your data plate, basically run a whole bunch of TC codes to deploy to seeding your databases, create a script. Sometimes you do the license check because you use the PowerShell get-cal. You can get the license availability from Office 365. See whether there's a license available, then I can assign to a specific VM or the particular user account. So which is good, and deploy some Linux-based web applications running on the .NET Core. And Microsoft confirmed that they will soon support shell script as well, the B shell script, which means it's so good. You only need ARM template, you can do everything, right? The good thing is, if with the B shell, we can even configure some hardware as well. Because if the Linux applies, you can use the B shell to configure that. So that is basically my personal favorite of the new features of ARM template deployment, which makes the CI/CD DevOps life much easier.